This conversation is taking place at the DuPont Environmental Center in the Russell W. Peterson Wildlife Refuge.
We're at the DuPont Environmental Education Center on the riverfront in downtown Wilmington, talking with John Sweeney. John's the opinion pages editor at the News Journal. Welcome, John.
Thank you.
What role does humor have on opinion pages? It seems to me that there's less and less of it. There used to be the Russell Bakers and the Art Bookwalds and some others that made their opinion points through humor. I don't see much of that anymore. Am I wrong?
We don't have as much space as we once did, and you don't have columnists running on the same days as you once did. Russell Baker would always appear on certain days of the week, that sort of thing. So therefore, you're trying to get topical information in, and unfortunately, a lot of our news today is grim. I think that there is humor in there. We have some writers for us, both locally and nationally, who do have a sense of humor. But the out-and-out humorist, Mike Royko was probably the last of the great ones. But I don't know of any newspaper that's running a columnist like that type.
I can only think of one. Rick Horowitz is the only one that I know of nationally that writes that. Talk about the editorial cartoon. It has a fairly prominent place in your pages. The Times, for example, never runs them, but almost every other newspaper has prominently displayed an editorial cartoon.
I think cartoonists are opinionators. They have their opinion, they have a distinct point of view, but they use it they express it through their art. And I think that it's very important to allow the cartoonist to have his or her say. For example, we subscribe to two very good national cartoonists, Signe Wilkinson out of Philadelphia and Lisa Benson out of California. One is very liberal and the other one is very conservative, but I think they nail a lot of issues and they're fun to read. Cartoonists, I think, are an important part of a newspaper. It lends
They're all crazy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
What's the relationship of the opinion pages and the news pages? What's your relationship with the News Journal's editor and those who work with him? Is it church and state?
To a great degree it is. We certainly talk, and I ask what their big stories are, and we follow the news. Both of us work individually for the publisher, Howard Griffin. David Ledford is our executive editor. He doesn't have anything to do with the editorials or our selection of editors or letters to the editor or anything about our op-ed columns. Likewise, I don't have anything to say about what's on page one or the local page, and so forth, of the gathering of the news. Our editorials and our columns certainly follow the news to see what they're writing and what stories they have developed. The reporters are out there gathering the facts. As opinion writers, we're not out there that often. We're trying to pull it all in and develop some thoughts on which way the news should be going or what went wrong and so forth. So we're dependent upon the reporting, but we're also dependent upon the views of other people writing in and taking us to task or agreeing with us.
But when you're writing an institutional editorial, you have to do some reporting sometimes, don't you?
It's not unusual at all to thoroughly report the story, to go out and talk to the people and to say what is there. News is not something that is permanent. It is not an official history. It is what could be found out at the moment. And if something is developed over a period of time, say an investigative report, there's some more substance to it. But there are other sides of stories. For example, we won't write an editorial, or I tend not to write an editorial, on a breaking story where we'll have something on our website today that such and such happened, the mayor or the governor called for this. If I can't get more reporting on it, we'll wait and we'll see. Our idea is not to break news. Our goal is to reflect upon it, provide thought, I don't believe that we're always right. I don't believe that we have all the answers, but the idea is to put it into some perspective so people can take a look at it.
Following what you just said, a lot of people used to say to me, and I'm sure they do to you, when you endorse a candidate or support some controversial bill in the legislature, don't tell me how to think.
Right.
What's your answer to that person?
Well, they don't have to read it. That's one thing. We're offering our viewpoint, and we're trying to make certain arguments about something that we think is larger than this particular bill. We will say that this candidate, for this reason, in our opinion, is a better candidate. Take a look at that. Please feel free to argue with us and to have that discussion. I think that if we do anything positive, it is to create that discussion for people to come back and argue with us, to discuss with us.
The paper's gotten smaller, and it's clear, it's now, the News Journal Media Group, and a lot of the work of the news department and your department is online.
Correct.
Does that change the way you operate?
The way people respond to the news today is you no longer wait for the next cycle of news. It comes out immediately. And that very often, as I sit there pondering what I'm going to write about the next day, the news is going by and readers are calling me to tell me about it. What am I going to say on it? I think that this is a crucial time for journalism. The internet has changed a lot. Newspapers, for example, were the great bundlers. The people who bought a newspaper years ago bought it maybe for the comics or the sports or the recipes or for the advice to the loved one, right? The editorial pages, And now it's not a bundle anymore. So people are looking at have to look at the news. So that throws it back on us, giving people the news that they need to know and to put it into perspective that they will need to make decisions.
Same goal.
Same goal.
Thanks, John.
Okay.
You're connected with Content Delaware.